Yellow, my little film. Yellow, my little filmer dudes. My name is Ivan Montero, and thank you for joining me in my journey to watch every TV show ever created. Not really, but we are gonna get close. I have had a lingering cough for so long now. It's all a part of the bronchitis. But I'll be fine. We're gonna go over what I consider to be the worst TV of 2024. We have 5 honorable mentions and 10 in the top 10. Starting with our honorable mentions, we have Fool Me Once. Fool Me Once is full of bad acting, obvious plot twists, and disappointing payoffs. Did I mention how bad the acting is? It's bad. Night Court Season 2, between Seasons 1 and 2, there are a few moments worthy of laughter, but this show is just a bunch of cheap boomer jokes and seemingly recycled ideas from its predecessor. This is also the most unprofessional courtroom and judge I've ever seen. So much so, it actually hurts. I get it's supposed to be a sitcom, but it's not really funny. I've officially given up on the show, so I will not be tuning in to Season 3. The Boys Season 4, I felt it was a little too close to home with this year being a political year, and honestly, that's just me. I hate politics. I do inform myself, of course, but I hate the concept. I think it's utterly stupid. Regardless, I don't appreciate this season because there was no escape from reality. Rather, we're going from reality to worse reality, and it really wasn't really fun for me, and it wasn't fun for many others. Hopefully, it can return to form with Gen V Season 2 and The Boys Season 5, but yikes, this season was not good. Then we have Halo Season 2, and honestly, the entirety of Season 1 was so mega boring that I could not finish Season 2. I watched about 3 episodes, and though it is better, the damage was already done for Season 2 to the point where nobody wanted to watch Season 2, and I definitely do think that though Season 2 is better, it definitely does deserve a dishonorable mention because that damage, oh boy. That damage from Season 1 was felt. Then we have Marvel's What If Season 3. In the course of one finale, Marvel's What If Season 3 went from an 8.1 to a whopping 5.9. What a chaotic mess of a show. Now, I will say that these stories are way better than both Seasons 1 and 2, since they're not really ripping off Phases 1 through 3, but they're still not the greatest. And then Star Wars The Acolyte. The Acolytes will enjoy that this is not on the top 10, but The Acolyte would have been on the top 10 if it weren't for my actual number 10. Plus, we all know this show isn't great, so it would have been a cheap, easy thing to do, but however, I have my personal reasons as to why I don't like this show, and you can figure that out in The Acolyte, and it's just in the writing, and I give you examples thereof, so don't be mad with me. Well, I mean, I guess you could be mad with me. I truly don't care. This was not a good show, I'm sorry to say, but it was just trauma dump the series, and we don't have the space for it. Alrighty, so now we're in our top 10. Coming in at number 10 is Dune Prophecy with a 5.5. The lack of Denis Villeneuve looms over this show, man. It wants to be the next big thing, but you guys, this show is radically boring. Plus, this show was asking me to watch more than an hour. That was 62 minutes on average. 62 to 65 minutes of full content, and I'm not talking about the recap and the credits at the end. I'm excluding those two. It's 62 to 65 minutes of pure boring ass content, and you're asking me to give my time to you at the end of the year after I've seen 80 whatever shows that were much better? That's a huge ask, and that was a no from me. I only did 2 episodes, and because it was just so bad. It was so bad that it deserved at least a top 10 on this list, because there are others that were pretty bad, but oh my god. Coming in number 9 is The Umbrella Academy Season 4, and I made a review about this season because it was so shockingly bad, so you can check that one out, but this season was one of the most disappointing, and might even be the most disappointing show for me of this whole this whole year. The fact that this show went from 10 episodes to 6 episodes was completely felt in a bad way. Plus, I felt like Season 4 was The Umbrella Academy in name only. It was fan fiction. It was uncomfortable and kind of sad at that point. It would be really hard to recommend this show to anybody who has not seen the show, because I absolutely love the first season. I even like the second season. Season 3 is pretty tolerable for me. I know people didn't like season 3, but season 4 is just bad. So at this point, I think I would just tell people, just do season 1 and season 2, because this cliffhanger season 3 does not get resolved, and you're just gonna want to see what happens in season 4. Then you might be tempted and you're gonna be like, oh my god, why did I do that? So if you're gonna watch it, just seasons 1 and season 2, and then drop it. Coming in number 8 is Death and Other Details. And oh wow, Death and Other Details, man. Death and Other Details. I've seen so many murder mysteries this year alone that I generally forgot that this show came out this year. I really was excited for this show. I saw the trailer and I said, that is a clever premise. I'm excited. And I talk about satisfactory payoffs, man. Every single payoff is kind of dumb. It's not worth it. It was not worth the boring writing. And these episodes are long, and they feel longer because it's such a slow burn. And the mystery lingered for way too long, and they were trying to do so much drama and other things involved that just was uncomfortable, and it just wasn't needed. And I was honestly flat out bored. I was bored throughout this whole show. And by the time we got to the end, the reveal made no sense whatsoever. It was just another trauma dump of the series, and you know, it just didn't really resonate with anybody, and it was entirely unforgettable. Lopez Vs Lopez season 2. Sure, season 2 is slightly better than season 1, but not by much. And also, I was so done with this show's stupidity that I apparently didn't even finish the finale episode. I forgot that I was watching the finale because I guess my ADHD did its thing. It was just so much so that it protected me. It said, no more, thank you. I fully clocked out of the show, and I refuse to do season 3. I refuse to do it. This show is chock full of offensive woke Hispanic influence, and I'm super sad that this show is still going, and it's introducing people to things that are just not true, that Hispanics do not enjoy, like being called Latinx. Don't do that, that's stupid. It was started by a white individual who doesn't understand or speak Spanish. So just don't do that. Spanish is a pre-established language with a pre-established rules and way of communicating, and English doesn't literally translate to any language. So I just find it absolutely stupid. And this show uses Latinx, and the way it's spelled is spelled Latinx. So super gross. This show is Hispanic in name only. The characters are also entitled as and it's never fun to watch entitlement run amok. It's really frustrating, honestly, and like I said, I refuse to watch season 3, so I hope you guys don't watch it as well. Coming in number 6 is Knuckles. Oh no, Knuckles in name only. I'm not a fan of Adam Pally. Adam Pally is unfunny as frick, in my opinion, and just in general. And him in a musical parody dressed as Knuckles in a What Knuckles onesie just to explain Knuckles' origin, instead of, you know, just showing us Knuckles' origin, was so dumb. It hurt. Guess what? It's a Wade show. This was a Wade show about Wade, his family. Knuckles was barely in this show. He's about like maybe 30 to 40% in the show. And that kind of makes me angry because I was tricked into watching a Wade and Family series, and I did not want to watch a Wade and Family series. Boo! Boo! Coming in number 5 is That 90s Show season 2 and 3. I enjoyed season 1 of That 90s Show, honestly. It wasn't really focused on over-sexualizing minors like season 2 and season 3 were focused on doing, and especially in a world where Dan Schneiders exist and they're being revealed left and right, and we are trying to be better about these things, it just feels insanely irresponsible, and I just find it to be just perplexingly baffling that any studio or streaming service would praise sex amongst minors in the way that this show does. It is highly uncomfortable. It is not okay. It's not okay. That 90s show really fell down the ladder after season 1. It's like they hooked everybody with what they needed to do, and then they said goodbye everything that made that 70s show, and hello problems. Now that's 2 spin-offs. That's 2 That 70s Show spin-offs that did not work. That 80s show with Glenn Howerton. Yes, Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny, and now that 90s show. Coming in at number 4 is Davey and Jonsies' Locker. This show looked fun by the trailer, but having roughed all of the episodes, boy, this was rough. I almost quit, but I said I needed to finish so that I can be able to say, I've done it, I've seen it, I've done the thing that no one else can do, but I've learned I can say no. And I should have said no, because this show is just, it's awful acting, awful directing, awful writing, awful set design. It's a watered down Disney Channel-esque version of Everything Everywhere All at Once set solely in a school. And it is a hard time, and not a good time, and I mean it's sad. But hey, I mean the girls that are in this, they're dedicated to that, to the material, man. Everyone else is super cheesy, but these girls, they go hard at it. They say, we're here, we're gonna collect our money, but we're gonna have fun and we're gonna do this. And honestly, if I were their agents, I would not let anyone see this. I could spin this, I would spin this and say, you see how these girls are dedicated to this material? You see how they actually make this material somewhat watchable up to a certain degree. Don't watch all it, just watch this one clip. Don't watch the whole episode, just watch this one clip. I could turn this around and I bet I could get them jobs. But honestly, as a product, embarrassing. Coming in at number 3 is Apples Never Fall, and oh my god, I made a serialized review also about this show, so I mean I'll read you an excerpt about the show, because it's legitimately so awful that I don't think I can talk about it. I've talked about it enough to a lot of people before, and I wrote this review, and it's just once was enough, and I'm good. So here we go. So, awful series with a pathetically dissatisfying ending amounting to a frustrating total waste of time. Illogical writing and consequences are not seen through. Everyone's a class A brat. The show has 0 redeeming qualities, and last of all, like I said, it's just a waste of time. The link to this review is down below. There is a non-spoiler section and a spoiler section. Coming in at number 2 is The Trust, a Game of Greed. Oof, we had some game shows on our top 10 list, but of course we had to have at least one in our worst. We had one last year, and that was actually the Squid Game show. That was not great. But yes, The Trust, the game in which everybody has already won the prize money. They just need to live 8 days in a house on an island for 8 days without doing anything for 8 days, doing nothing for 8 days. The only way this game will work if, of course, they have the worst of the worst people on this show, and it truly is the worst of the worst people you will ever see. Entitlement, selfishness, incorrect accusations, and misplaced feelings. This show is a nightmare to watch. It's low-key fascinating on a psychological perspective, but it's not good. It's not tolerable. I did watch the whole thing, and I had to watch it on like the 0.5 because it was just getting to a point where it was just not great. Almost everyone on this show is a disgusting individual. Give or take like one. Only one person was a stand-up person in this show. But to see people who didn't deserve the money get money is just dirty. It's dirty to me. Ew. Everyone on the show, ew. And finally, I've been waiting all year to talk about this show because I knew this was gonna be the worst show of this year. There was no doubt about it. And I hate that the sitcoms end up being the worst shows of years lately, but that's just the reality. Mike O'Malley had the horrendous idea of making a show about an extremely wealthy upper-class divorced family and claimed that it would be relatable to everyone, even though the main characters are either CEOs or co-owners of businesses or football teams. And I'm talking about extended family. The higher ups at NBC loved the idea of making a show about them because the characters are actually loosely based on some of them. So of course they would like that. Jon Cryer, I forgot his name because I just don't like this guy. Jon Cryer has got to be the worst actor of all time, not just of what I've seen. He has got to be the absolute worst actor to have ever existed. And I've seen Jamie Foxx's Netflix sitcom. That was rough. Jamie Foxx can't act in that. But Jon Cryer, much worse. I saw a clip of his Lex Luthor and oh my god, give this man a Razzie. In the show and seemingly in real life, he's a bumbling idiot with no backbone and throughout the whole show. And even in one episode, their child forgets to inform the parents, divorced parents, about a change in an event, and they're all like, oh man, you do this all the time. And instead of punishing the child and being like, well, now you're gonna have to either go with your stepdad or their mom or nobody because this is a consequence, they're like, oh great, now we gotta fix the problem because now we've inherited the problem because that's what kids do. And I'm like, that's gross. That's bad. That's bad parenting. That's really bad. It's just called cause and effect, consequence. And this show has it has none of that. It's really dumb. This show has no redeeming qualities at all. Not even the actors can do well by this because the tone of the show, it's trying to do so many things at once. It's a multicam sitcom, so there's that laugh track. But then suddenly it turned into a mockumentary to explain the joke that they just explained. And it's not done well at all. It's just Mike O'Malley, he made a show about executives. No one's gonna like that. No one did like it. And you cast awful actors with awful material. It's a no-brainer. It's the worst show I've literally ever seen. And I watched all of the episodes, all 13. I watched all of them so that I can say that this was because I knew this would be the worst. So I said, I'm gonna watch all of it so I can now say that Mike O'Malley has made the worst show of 2024. Extended Family, you are the worst TV show of 2024. Thank God you have been canceled. Well, that was it. That was my top 10 with my dishonorable mentions. What did you guys think of my list? So let me know in the description below what the comments below what your lists are. My social media links are in the description below. Be on the lookout for my other end of the year videos, and I will see you next time. You've just been motivated.